Now, Kris Kobach is the Kansas Secretary of State. He joins us now. Kris, you are a man. You know, you've been working on this for quite some time, for years. You know what the situation is. This is not unfamiliar to you either. Can you give us a sense, really, as people might want to blame the shutdown, but this is really chaos that is unfolding, and an overwhelmed Customs and Border Protection Force, overwhelmed ICE perhaps, because they're contained, if you will, by certain court decisions about what they can and cannot do. What do you think is going on in El Paso now, and should the people there be concerned about what's happening?
Well, first of all, you're correct when you suggest this is not because of the government shutdown. Enforcement and removal operations of ICE, that's the division that handles this type of duty, they're essential employees. They're working at full steam regardless of the shutdown. There might be some public affairs officers who normally, contact the press and things like that who might not be working, but it's not caused by the shutdown. Secondly, although the numbers this week in El Paso are large and larger than normal, people should be aware that there are, if you look nationally, thousands of people being released into the United States who are asylum seekers, not necessarily worthy of asylum, but claiming that they are, every month. And so this is a big problem. Here, this number should shock you. In the last 5 years, the number of asylum claims in the United States system has gone up 2,000%. There are almost 800,000 asylum cases pending in our immigration courts. And the vast majority of those are not legitimate. It's estimated that these Central American claims, well over 90%, are going to be denied. They're not even close to being a legitimate claim of asylum. Asylum requires that your government back home is persecuting you, and you have a well-founded fear of being hurt because of your membership in a particular social group. Whereas these people are coming in saying, well, I've got gangs in my neighborhood. And so this asylum loophole has become a massive loophole that is causing a huge problem for the whole system. So it is a big problem. This is just a symptom.
And we're letting these people out, of course, presuming they'll come back. This is the old game to get their court hearing, and then they just never show up. But we also learned a couple weeks ago from Secretary Nielsen of the Department of Homeland Security that we have an arrangement with Mexico now that they would hold people who are looking for asylum until we can adjudicate them. Do you think that's really going to happen, or do you think that we're still is the president still going to have to go and try to get this done through the courts, which clearly seem to be resistant to him being able to control the border?
Well, a little of both. So I think that what Secretary Nielsen announced last week is a big first. It's not a first step. It's a big step in the right direction for those people who haven't yet crossed into the United States. But most of the people we're talking about here in El Paso, they were already in the United States when they were apprehended, many of them anyway. And for those people, what DHS needs to do right away is to finalize a proposed regulation that they promulgated back in September, and that regulation will override what's called the Flores settlement, which is why we're releasing all these people, and allow the detention of complete family units together until their case is adjudicated finally.
Kris,
and we got to get that done right away, and there's no time to waste.
Yeah, because that's the question. What do we do next? And that's a great point. Thank you, sir, for joining us. I appreciate it. Have a great night.